Welcome to Canal Voyagers, offering you 4-star hotel boat cruising at prices you can afford, with a different cruise to choose from every week. The luxury hotel boats will cruise extensively through the English canal and river systems from April to October during 2012. From Warwick, the first cruises take us northwards through lovely rural landscapes to visit the famous cities of Chester, Liverpool and Manchester. The first cruise starts with the mighty Hatton flight of 21 broad locks, before passing the attractive Lapworth junctions, climbing through the narrow Lapworth locks and passing under the lifting bridges to reach Birmingham. The long Netherton tunnel leads to the Delph and Stourbridge locks as we descend to the attractive and rural Staffs and Worcester Canal to reach Kidderminster and Stourport. Cruise 2 leads us northwards, climbing along the Staffs and Worcester Canal through Kinver and the unique locks at Bratch to reach Ortherley Junction and the Shropshire Union Canal. The long lock-free section passes several attractive villages before we descend with the flights of locks at Turley, Adderley, Aldlam and Hack Green with its secret bunker nearby to reach the market town of Nantwich on the Cheshire Plain. The 5 nights of Cruise 3 will pass through the broad locks, including the curious iron-sided lock at Beeston to reach Chester, where the 3-lock staircase lies below the city walls. Continuing near Chester Zoo, where the bridleway passes several of the enclosures, we reach Ellesmere Port and the National Waterways Museum, adjoining the Manchester Ship Canal and the River Mersey, before returning to Chester. From the heart of Chester, Cruise 4 takes us through the broad locks past Beeston Castle to reach the narrow locks of the Middlewich branch and the Trent and Mersey Canal. A return trip on the unique Anderton boat lift allows a little time to cruise along the peaceful River Weaver. Continuing through Preston Brook Tunnel brings us to the lock-free Bridgewater Canal for our journey to Castlefield Basin in Manchester. From Saturday to Thursday, the 5 nights of Cruise 5 head west, starting along the Bridgewater Canal, which crosses the enormous Manchester Ship Canal on the Barton Swing Aqueduct. The Leeds and Liverpool Canal takes us through Lancashire, passing Parbold with its sailless windmill to reach the Liverpool link, passing close to the famous Liver Building and Albert Dock as we enter the city. Cruise 6 starts with the Liverpool link to reach the agricultural Lancashire landscape along the Leeds and Liverpool Canal. Passing Parbold and Wigan with its pier, we cross the Manchester Ship Canal on the Barton Swing Aqueduct. After an overnight stop in Lymm and passing through Preston Brook Tunnel, we reach the unique Anderton lift and descend to the River Weaver to reach Northwich. The 8 days of Cruise 7 allows a little time to explore the River Weaver before ascending the unique Anderton boat lift. Passing through Preston Brook Tunnel and along the lock-free Bridgewater Canal we reach Manchester. Climbing through the locks we leave Manchester behind to reach Marple and the glorious scenery of the Upper Peak Forest Canal towards Whaley Bridge. The next cruises take the boat south to the Midlands, exploring new routes for Canal Voyagers. Cruise 8 starts with the wonderful scenery of the Upper Peak Forest and Macclesfield canals, passing through the Cheshire countryside to the unusual Hardingswood Junction. After experiencing the impressively long Harecastle Tunnel on the Trent and Mersey Canal, there's plenty of time for a return journey along the quiet Coldon Canal, reaching Hazelhurst Junction and Consell Forge. Cruise 9 continues in a southerly direction, leaving the Potteries behind to pass through several small towns interspersed with open countryside. Most of the locks come one at a time until reaching the Atherstone flight, amongst the slowest in the country to fill and giving plenty of time to explore the town. Passing the scenic Hawkesbury Junction, the cruise continues into Coventry. Cruise 10 has a very leisurely start, with a return journey along the lock-free Ashby Canal, where the quiet surroundings are ideal for watching the wildlife. Heading south again, we skirt around Rugby to see the paired locks at Hillmorton and the junction at Braunston. Heading northwards again, we meet the impressive staircase locks at Watford and Foxton and the countryside near Market Harborough. Cruise 11 takes Snipe and Taurus onto new waters, heading north and passing through the broad locks to reach Leicester. Several small towns lie beyond, including Barrow-upon-Soar and Loughborough, interspersed with open countryside. Cooling towers dominate the skyline as we approach the wide River Trent and head upstream to reach the Trent and Mersey Canal and Burton-upon-Trent. Cruise 12 includes more new waters, following the narrow canals through the open countryside, passing Fradley and Faisley junctions to reach Curdworth and the bustling city of Birmingham. Leaving along the surprisingly green, tree-lined corridor, we reach Catherine de Barnes and the broad locks at Knowle. The mighty Hatton flight forms the finale as we head into Warwick. Cruises 13 and 14 take the boats south to London, where they'll be moored to provide bed and breakfast accommodation during the Olympics. Cruise 13 continues through Leamington Spa, along the Grand Union Canal with its broad locks. Knapton, Braunston and Norton junctions follow one after another, with the long Braunston Tunnel too. Turning now to head generally south, another long tunnel at Blisworth leads to Stoke Blue Urn and the National Waterways Museum. Stops at Cosgrove and Fenny Stratford bring us to Leighton Buzzard. Cruise 14 includes surprisingly rural areas as we gradually head into London, passing Marsworth and the Aylesbury and Wendover Arms. Descending gradually towards the River Thames, we pass through several towns en route, with Berkhamsted and King's Langley providing likely overnight stopping places. At Bull's Bridge we turn towards central London to reach Little Venice near Paddington. For 3 weeks during the London Olympics, the boats will be moored at Little Venice near Paddington Station, providing bed and breakfast accommodation for a minimum stay of 3 nights. The location is not only handy for the London-based Olympic venues, but for visiting London tourist sites to make the most of your trip to the capital too. Cruises 15 to 19 take Snipe and Taurus along the River Thames to the practical head of navigation at Lechlade, then north to reach Warwick once again. Cruise 15 leads the boats gently out of London to join the River Thames at Brentford. When the tide is right, they will head upstream to the famous Hampton Court Palace and beyond, to make their way along the full length of the River Wey, with lovely stops at villages along the way, to the head of navigation at Godalming, before returning to complete the cruise at Guildford. Cruise 16 takes the boat slowly back along the beautiful River Wey to join the River Thames near Weybridge, where a brief excursion downstream lets us stop at Hampton Court with its famous palace. Heading back upstream, we'll stop at Windsor, a popular tourist destination with the famous royal castle, and at Marlow before reaching Henley-on-Thames, home for the famous regatta. Cruise 17 takes the boat upstream on the River Thames, from the wide reaches at Henley-on-Thames to the much smaller river and practical head of navigation at Lechlade. Wonderful countryside comes close to both banks of the river, interrupted by small towns along the way. An overnight stop allows time to explore the university city of Oxford, before continuing through smaller villages upstream. The 5 nights of Cruise 18 will return along the upper reaches of the Thames and pass close to Oxford to reach the narrow, twisting Oxford Canal, a complete contrast to the River Thames. Never far from the River Cherwell, and joining it for short stretches, we see the Oxfordshire countryside and villages at their best. The narrow locks and lifting bridges lead us into Banbury. Cruise 19, also 5 nights long, seems to leave civilization behind us as we cruise through the remote countryside, passing Fenny Compton to reach picturesque Knapton with its windmill on the hilltop. Leaving the narrow, twisting Oxford Canal behind, the broad locks of the Grand Union Canal lead us slowly to our destination at Warwick, famous for its castle and tourist attractions. The final 4 cruises make 2 circular tours from Warwick. Cruise 20 sees the boats climb the mighty Hatton Flight to the picturesque Lapworth junctions and the upper Stratford-upon-Avon Canal with its narrow locks and lifting bridges. The descent through 56 narrow locks to Worcester, including the 30 locks of the Tardebigge Flight, where the assistance of guests will be appreciated, although not expected. Cruise 21 starts with the Mid-Worcestershire Ring through Droitwich, before joining the River Severn for the leisurely journey to Tewkesbury, where we meet the River Avon at this picturesque town. Flowing through beautiful countryside, the River Avon gradually changes in character as it narrows and passes the small towns to reach Stratford-upon-Avon, famous for its Shakespeare connections. The 5 nights of Cruise 21 will leave Stratford-upon-Avon behind, with splendid views across the valley of the River Avon. Stops at Wootton Warn and Lowsonford are included as we pass under the split bridges and soar over the aqueducts. The picturesque Lapworth junctions lead us to the mighty Hatton Flight and Warwick with its castle and tourist attractions. Cruise 23 starts and finishes at Warwick, covering the whole of the Warwickshire Ring in a great 10 days. A wonderful mixture of broad and narrow canals, passing through open countryside and urban areas along the route. Starting with the mighty Hatton Flight, our route is soon following the narrow canals of the Midlands to Braunston, before returning through the broad locks of the Grand Union Canal. With 23 cruises to choose from, there's something for everybody. The brochure provides more information, and Corinne or Neil will answer any of your questions. Just email or phone to check availability and make your booking. Which cruise will you choose?